the carbon emission is ever increasing. It is not decreasing. The carbon emission keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. And there is something wrong, terribly wrong, in the whole process that we do. People have understood that it is wrong. Something is wrong with the climate and we should reduce the carbon dioxide emission. And in 2015, there was a very famous agreement called Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement was signed by about 180 countries under the banner of United Nations, that all of us must put together efforts to cut down on the carbon dioxide emission by 50%, 45% by 2030. And I'll show you that. So this is what the carbon dioxide right now concentration looks like. And look at the CO2 emission and where it is going. So the world together, there's a report that came in later, which says that we should cut down the carbon dioxide concentration by 45%. This is another number that you should note down, that by 2030, the whole idea is that reduce the carbon dioxide by 45%. In reality, it is not decreasing. In fact, it is increasing only. And therefore, the reduction in the carbon dioxide right now, the level it has reached that we should cut down by 50%. Can we imagine, all of us who are listening can imagine that world will be consuming half of the petrol that we are consuming today in 10 years, 2030. World will be consuming half of the diesel that we are consuming today. World will be consuming half of the coal that we are consuming today. It doesn't look like. There are countries who are very developed, and there are countries which are underdeveloped. And those countries which are not developed, they say that no, we want to consume more fossil fuel because we have equal right to develop. And we know because energy is a driving force, and social and economic indicators are affected by the use of energy. So the more energy we use, more economically we grow, more energy we use, more socially we grow. That is the kind of correlation that exists. As a result of that, everybody wants to consume more and more energy. But the problem is that more energy, if it is coming from fossil energy, it is also resulting in an increased amount of carbon dioxide, which is going to create further global warming. All right. This further global warming is dangerous in many ways. So another number that you should note down, that we have increased, the global warming has happened by 1 degree centigrade, and there is a very big significant number called 1.5 degrees centigrade. So scientists have been saying that ideally we should stop global warming at 1.5 degrees centigrade level. In fact, the IPCC means Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It has come up with the report which says that the global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade, we should stop there. And what are the pathways of going there? And one pathway that I told you already, that we should cut down our CO2 emission by 50% by 2030. So in next 10 years, that is one pathway. Not only that, we should cut down our CO2 emission by 50% by 2030, but by 2050, we should become zero CO2 emission, net zero CO2 emission. Which means that in another 30 years from now, we should stop using coal, 100%. We should stop using petrol, diesel, crude oil, LPG, CNG, kerosene, everything by 100%. 30 years from now, zero carbon use. Is anyone among us can imagine that we will be not using any of this in just next 30 years? 30 is not a very long time. It doesn't look like that. So the pathway is that we would actually touch on the CO2 emission 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2040. This used to be the case, but this report came last month, July. It is very credible organization, by the way, WMO, the World Meteorological Organization. The WMO says that there is a 20% chance that one of the next 5 years will be at least 1.5 degrees centigrade warmer than the pre-industrial level, but the chance is increasing with time. If anybody who understands what it means, they should get, they should be freezing just reading this statement. This is how strong and powerful statement. This is how big the warning is. Anyway, so from the training purpose, you should know 1 degree warming has happened. 1.5 degree we should stop. Where is that 1.5 degree we are going to reach? This report says that next 25 years, there's a likelihood that we'll reach there. Why 1.5 degrees significant? 1.5 degrees significant because it is believed by the scientific community and that once the temperature crosses 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade, there's a window, of course, the change in the climate will be irreversible and we will never be able to come back to this. The change in the climate will be irreversible. Even if all of us become saints, हम सब लोग साधु बन जाए, फिर भी हम उसको वापस नहीं ला सकते. And that is why it is very important that we need to make a drastic and immediate action. So what is happening currently? That's very interesting. So CO2 emission from 2015 should start decreasing. But is it decreasing? No. CO2 emission is actually increasing by 1.7%. Somebody has to mute himself. And then what is happening? Renewable energy is a solution, but in 2018, the renewable energy installation did not improve. It remains same as 2017 level. And the CO2 emission is increased by almost 47% in the atmosphere. So the report says that heat is on, So it is actually becoming worse and worse and worse. And now it's very common to see a polar bear struggling to get its food. Very common to see that. Why? Glaciers are melting. Glaciers are their homes. And if there are no glaciers, glaciers have melted by almost 40-50%. If there are no glaciers, where they are going to live? So, so this is how the situation is turning from bad to worse. And and the indicators that we will cross this number very soon is really alarming. Not only this number, there is a estimated, and there are, by the way, there are many websites where you can actually figure out, and you can do the countdown. You can do the Google search for the countdown 1.5 or 2 degrees centigrade, and a countdown, how many days left. So the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the global warming, they are correlated, right? So more the carbon dioxide, more the global warming is. So if you want to stop at 1.5 degrees centigrade, there's a fixed budget available in the atmosphere, carbon budget, they call it. So much carbon you can only emit. What is that fixed carbon budget? That it is, the remaining budget is about 500 gigawatt, 600 gigawatt. So 5 to 600 gigawatt is what you can afford to emit in the atmosphere. What is our per year emission? 52 gigawatt. So all of you can actually do this math, very simple. Divide 500 gigawatt by 52 gigawatt tons of CO2 emission per year. You will come up with a number around 10. So in the worst case scenario, 8 years. In the best case scenario, 12 years, 13 years. That is the time that is left to us. All right. So, and again, I'm repeating, and you should only learn this thing from this, that the climate change that is happening because of the use of carbon fuels. Who is using this carbon fuels? Who is using the carbon fuels? You and I. You and I are the users of the carbon fuel. When we use this carbon fuels, every day, morning, evening, afternoon, night, whether we are brushing our teeth, whether we are cooking, whether we are traveling, whether we are using our computer, every day and night we use carbon fuel. And therefore, if the climate change is related with the energy and we are the consumer of energy, we are committing big crime. We are committing big crime. That is the sense that we must realize that all this problem is just because of us. And if you are not going to change right now, if you are not going to stop using these fuels right now, there is not much time left for the humanity. In fact, the Dalai Lama very recently he made a statement. He said, more and more people are realizing that existence of humanity as at stake. मनुष्य का जीवन का अस्तित्व ही stake में है. And only pranayam, meditation, and prayers are not going to be sufficient. What we need to do is we need to take action. Prayers are not going to be sufficient. We need to take action. And this initiative that we started is for encouraging that action. What should be the nature of action? The climate scientist says that the nature of action should be drastic and immediate. We should take drastic actions and immediate actions. And therefore, all of us must understand and note down these numbers. And as a volunteer for this particular Keep Up initiative, you must be able to say the same thing to the people, that simple, there is a climate change, energy, use of energy is responsible for it. How severe the climate change, you can give the number, that global warming of 1 degree. What is happening because of 1 degree? You can tell them the all kind of problems of the forest fires, the sea level rise, the increase in the floods and the droughts. All those things are the response is coming because of the 1 degree warming. How much time is left? We have to limit it 1.5 degrees centigrade. The time left is at 10 years, 12 years. And if only that much time is left, and if you want to cut down on the carbon emission to 0 by 2050, that is what the people say, and by 50% by 2030, we need to take a drastic U-turn. Whatever life we are living right now, we need to break and change the direction and take a U-turn. That is what needs to be done. All right. Now, this is only about energy. And energy is the center of the whole problem. We are consuming more water because we have energy to pump up the water. We are consuming more water because we have energy to heat up the water and take a nice cozy bath in the bathtub. We are consuming energy because we can make a swimming pool, pump the water in the swimming pool, heat the water in the swimming pool. So misuse or overuse of water is because of the energy, right? Because we are consuming energy in terms of the transportation, we can transport the goods from place A to place B unnecessary. Because we consume energy, we spend so much energy in the production of the food. We use all kind of machinery in production of the food. So that results in energy consumption and increase. So basically, the center of all the problems, not only the climate change related problems, the other problems like increase in the inequity in the world. The gap between rich and poor is increasing. That is a climate, that is a problem because of energy. The violence is increasing in the world because of the energy. We are overutilizing the resources of the planet. That is because of the energy, right? There are geopolitical actions and there are wars people are thinking because of energy. So the energy is the center of the whole world's problem. Another data I should give, and you should also train your volunteers that look, energy can also result in the risking the sovereignty of a country. You know, India is an energy poor country. We import energy from outside. By the way, all the money that India earns by exporting, you know, we export goods and services, all the money that we earn by exporting, the total money that received last year in 2019 by the foreign exchange in terms of foreign exchange is about $340 billion. You would be surprised to know that out of this $340 billion, $170 billion was spent in importing energy, $170 billion. So not only that energy is connected to the climate change, not only that fossil energy is responsible for all kind of problems in the world, but because of the energy, we lose a lot of foreign exchange. Because of the energy import, fossil energy import, we lose a lot of foreign exchange. And because we do that, our energy security at stake. India imports 85% of the energy that we require. We import 85%. So we are dependent. India imports about 30%, 20% to 30% coal that we use. So we are dependent. India imports gas about 40, 50, 60%. India imports nuclear energy, nuclear fuel from outside. India even imports hydroelectricity. So our dependency on other countries as far as energy concerned is increasing. And as a result of that, energy security of the country is a problem. And because energy security is a problem, and sovereignty of the country is also. So that is another dimension why this idea of importing energy and using is not a good idea. All right. So energy and climate is what the interest of the work that we started keep up. But this is extra. You should know that it is also the root cause of many other problems. And therefore, we must be aware about it, sensitive about it. Let me give another fact that Government of India's cost of electricity generation and transmission and supply is about 5.5 rupees. The Government of India's average revenue collection for every unit supplied is 4.5 rupees, which means for every unit generated and supplied, Government of India loses 1 rupee. And the loss to the government every year is about 35 to 40,000 crore. 35 to 40,000 crore. Look at the enormity of the loss. So if you are using energy, electricity, in a way you are responsible for the import, you are responsible for the carbon emission, you are responsible for the loss of money. And therefore, it is nothing less than a criminal activity to use electricity from the coal. Nothing less than a criminal activity. I'll give another example. Suppose this is a winter time, and if you're taking bath using the geysers, the instant geysers that are available consume 2 to 3 kilowatt of power. And if you spend 15-20 minutes taking the bath, the amount of electricity that you would end up consuming is 1 kilowatt hour, 1 unit. And 1 unit of electricity results in 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide emission. 1 unit results in 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide emission. So therefore, every time you take bath, you result in 1 unit of carbon dioxide emission. And similar is the example of air conditioner and all. You just use some time and you are already emitting 1 unit. 1 unit of carbon dioxide emission, 1 unit of consumption results in a 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide emission. This is another figure you should note down and keep handy. If your electricity bill is 300 units, you are responsible for emitting 300 kilograms of carbon dioxide per month. If your bill is 500 units, you are responsible for emitting 500 kilograms of carbon dioxide. So the comfort of one bath of using electric geyser, the carbon dioxide emission that goes in the atmosphere that remains there for 50 to 200 years. And because carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, it is going to result in a global warming. So the comfort of one bath will result in discomfort of 50 to 150 to 200 years. If you look at from this angle, isn't it crime to use carbon-based electricity? Sorry. If we do that, isn't it we are responsible for isn't it almost as good as crime to actually do this? So look at many threats associated with one thing, and I hope you are able to make that connection. The threat of the energy security, of the sovereignty, of having discomfort for a very, very long time, of resulting in the climate change, resulting in the import of the energy and the foreign exchange. So that is the sense that we want to bring in. That is what you should become comfortable, and that you should be able to transfer this same sense to the people you are going to talk as a volunteer. And I call it, it is nothing less than a criminal to use a fossil-based energy right now. Why? Because our climate has changed, and it has come to a level that we are on the brink of being irreversible change, getting into irreversible change. We are at the brink of that, and time left is not much. And by the end of this century, I told last time that it is expected that the global warming will be of 3 to 5 degrees centigrade, 6 degrees centigrade. And if that happens, the existence of humanity is at stake. And I told you about, even not I'm saying, not scientists are saying, many leaders are now saying, we need to wake up. And if this continues to happen, as I mentioned last time, we would have to say, once upon a time, there were humans on the planet. If the change is so big, if the danger is so much, shouldn't we stop using carbon right now? And that's why climate scientists say we have to make a drastic and immediate change. We have to take a U-turn. All right. So these are some of the facts that you must read and become comfortable, and it should be on your fingertips. Nikita can provide you more such papers you should read, very simple facts, and we can compile. Nikita and other colleague, I told him, we'll compile this fact. We will send it to you. You should read them and become, and it should and become comfortable with this fact. Because what is the plan of the Keep Up? That all of you people who are joining today, you need to create 10 more volunteers, and you need to pass on to 10 more people. So your team will become team of 10 people. And each of those 10 people then probably take 50 oaths, 50 pledges. And that is how it become one team, become your team. Each one of your team can take 500 pledges, bare minimum. And of course, it can go to 1,000 pledges over a period of 3 months. So I hope you people are, all of you who are attending are actually getting this sense. And it's very simple thing, energy. So if I need to summarize in 3 lines, simple thing, energy that we consume, 80% of it comes from fossil fuel. Fossil fuel means carbon, which is resulting in carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide means climate change. Climate change has become so serious and severe that existence of humanity is at stake. This is the only takeaway message. When I say humanity, existence at a stake, it's a big, big, big thing. That's the only takeaway message I want to give it to you. And there are various numbers that I told you and presented, and we should be able to tell the same story, same strength, same message to others and your own volunteers, and so that you can start spreading this. I told you last time, I'm traveling right now. I already started my 11 years long yatra. So for 11 years, I will be continuously out of my house, away from my family, living in a bus, and spreading the same thing. People ask why, 11 years, because I say that हम लोग इतने बिगड़ चुके हैं कि सुधरने में भी time लगेगा. So that's why we need to do it in a very, very long time and very, very big scale. So I think I will stop here, and if there are any questions, we can answer. As I promised, we'll get back to you with the facts that should be on your fingertips, and with these facts, you should be able to talk to the other volunteers and then get going. Once there is enough facts available with you and you're training yourself enough, then what we'll do, we'll go to the next communication, where we'll be talking about the pledges that can be taken and what is the impact of each pledge. So we will learn in the next session what will happen if you save 1 unit of electricity, or if you save one bulb of 10 watt, for 10 hours, what is going to happen? Those kind of small calculations we will train you so that you can pass on to the others. But by the time that happens, I want each one of you to read and read and read. I can talk more, but until unless you are going to read it will not sink in, it will not go into your blood. And therefore, it is very important that all of you read about the climate change. There are very interesting short videos are available. BBC, for example, are doing a lot of this thing. TED is doing a lot of talks about the countdown that is there. So all of you must read and read and read. We will feed you with some facts, but you can also do your own search and try to find out more and more information. And with one objective, that becoming aware about how serious and severe the whole thing is, how catastrophic it is, and how right in front of our door it is. That is the sense we need to bring. And until unless we bring that sense, it is not going to happen. So now next 10-15 minutes, let us have a question answer session, so that if there are any queries, how to do it, where to read, I can tell that, or any other basic questions I would be able to answer.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Solanki. I think it was, you just kind of took us away from our place. You really mesmerized all of us, as you had done during the last Jnana Vaidya talk. And we are so thankful to you that in spite of all your busy schedule engagement, you have still taken time and really inspired all these 100-odd volunteers who have been online. I would request everyone, if they have any question, either they can raise their hand or they can put the question in the chat box. There is one question already in the chat box from Sushma Gupta. My question.
My name is PK Gupta. PK Gupta. That's my wife's name.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, his question is, considering the seriousness of the issue, it would need a great push from the government, especially by the change in policies. How are you interacting with the government?
I believe, Mr. Gupta, I believe that this requires definitely huge push, but this cannot happen by the government. And I am very, I have learned this by my interaction with the government. I have traveled around the world. This change, if you are going to wait for the government, forget about it. For many reasons. Number one, the governments are always elected for a short time, 4 years and 5 years. Within the 4 and 5 years, there are a lot of commitments. This, what I'm talking, requires a long-term change. Governments cannot bring change, and even the governments are very strong. Like our current governments are very strong, and they are actually doing good amount of work. But it is never going to be sufficient, and that is why I said, I said last lecture, that we need a public movement. एक जन आंदोलन की जरूरत है. And that is why I am doing this 11 years yatra, because I know that it is only individuals can bring that change. There is absolutely no way government can make, of course government is important and government can make a right policy and all. And I am pleased to inform you that the government of Madhya Pradesh has appointed me a brand ambassador of solar energy for the Madhya Pradesh. And I'm trying to bring that bits and pieces, that policy changes require this change. But I know from heart that it is not the government that will bring this change, enormous change within the short time that is required. Whenever we want enormous change in the short time, it has to be a public movement. It can only happen through a public movement. And that's why, yes, let the government do whatever it is doing, but let us figure out what we need to do ourselves. And I think that can only be the way forward.
Absolutely. I think very rightly said. And Rotary District 3190 is with you, Dr. Solanki. Mission. I think of us Rotarians and Rotractors can definitely make a difference. There's another hand, that is Nandagopi. Can you unmute yourself and ask the question, Mr. Nandagopi? Rotarian Nandagopi.
Yeah, good evening, all of you. Thank you so much, Dr. Solanki, for giving wonderful inputs, which is definitely not wonderful, but very alarming. Now, you have come out with a couple of facts and figures, which would definitely is an eye-opener. Probably you can come out with much more facts and figures, like the people are not aware of transmission losses. You said that for 1 kilowatt of energy consumed, we are producing 1 kilo of carbon dioxide. But unfortunately, most of us are not aware of the transmission losses from the power station or the power generated close to the consumption point. Okay, one. And secondly, most of the vehicle movements are based on fossil fuel energy burning. Okay. Now there are two, like when compared to the BHP and the fuel burn, the comparison is rather it's too large. I mean, the difference is rather is too much. The amount of energy burned and the amount of energy used for the motion is too high. If you could come out with certain facts and figures in this aspect, probably people would take immediate action from their own source in wasting the energy. That's my
yeah. So that's thank you very much, and it's very very important, and I must put a light on this. I mean, the coal-based electricity, you would be shocked to realize how it is generated. And by the way, India imports coal of almost 200 million tons, and we import coal from as far away as Australia, and Australia is 8 to 10,000 kilometers from here. So look at the process, how it happens. Somebody does the coal mining in Australia, and then the coal has to be brought to the harbor of Australia. So they use train and truck. Then the coal is put in the ship, and it travels 8 to 10,000 kilometers, comes to the harbor of India. Then we have to put the coal into the trains and again travel few hundred kilometers to go to the power plant. At power plant, coal is burned to generate steam. You know what is the efficiency of this process? 35% overall power plant, 35%. Then we generate, we run turbine and we generate high voltage about 660,000 volts, 660 kV. Then we use big transmission lines and transmit this power. And because such a high voltage we cannot use it, so we have to step down. So from 660 kilovolt, we bring it to 440 kilowatt. Again, we transmit and then step down. 440 kilovolt become 220 kilovolt. 220 kilovolt become 110 kilovolt. 110 becomes 33 kilovolt. 33 kilovolt become 11 kilovolt. 11 kilovolt becomes 230 volt. Can you imagine the amount of infrastructure that we, the humans, have evolved and developed to do this? And the process, the entire process, the efficiency is about 8%. Whatever is burned, we only consume 8%. I keep saying to my student, if the alien come from other planet and see us humans doing this kind of infrastructure for generating electricity, they will say, what kind of donkeys are this? Such a complicated arrangement. On the other hand, solar panel today, you just put it outside. It, as soon as the light falls, it generates electricity right there where you are. Mr. Nadagopi can also, you give an example of the transportation. I was shocked when I heard that all the fuel that is put in the vehicle, only 4% energy is used for putting person from place A to B. All 96% energy is lost in all mechanical operations and this and efficiency and fuel. This is how inefficient we are, and that's why it makes us even more criminal.
Yeah, this probably answers the question from Rotary N. Ramesh Devadiga, who is asking what is the alternate we can replace the electricity. I think you touched upon the point, solar energy, and I think there are multiple ways that you may want to highlight that.
No, number one, so this is where the philosophy takes over the science and technology, and I think without philosophy, the humans are just another animal, and we need to understand this. So the philosophy, what Mahatma Gandhi said, he said, there is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for the greed. This is such a wonderful law of the nature, you cannot violate. There's only enough in the world for everybody's need, not for the greed. So therefore, the number one thing you should do is avoid using energy, even if it is solar energy. Avoid it. Avoid it. Avoid using travel, avoid using refrigeration, avoid using lights, avoid using fan. Whatever you can avoid, do avoid. Until unless it is very, very essential. Isn't it? So I told last time, avoid. If you actually do avoid, and that's what the Keep Up program is all about. When we take a pledge, we're asking people to avoid, reduce your electricity bill by 10%. How? Become sensitive to this, that energy and climate is correlated. We are the part of it. We have done it. I am responsible for climate change. Become sensible to this and start avoiding, because there is only finite, and the earth is finite, the size of the earth is finite, the amount of water and air is finite, and we are living as if everything is infinite. Our GDP is growing, our consumption is growing, the car productions are growing, the water consumption is growing, the roads are becoming bigger, the malls are becoming bigger. Don't you see there is something terribly wrong here? So avoid doing things. A. Then if you cannot avoid, you have to use something. You have to store vaccination. Yes, do use refrigerator, but minimize the use of energy by using efficient appliances. M. Minimize it. So first part, if you avoid, I guarantee you that 30% of electricity you can just simply avoid. 30%. In my home, we do not use refrigerator, washing machine, geyser. My monthly electricity bill is 60 to 80 units only per month. So avoid it. If you cannot avoid it, minimize it. Use very efficient appliances. I'm going to teach you in the next lecture even more details. So you can use BLDC phone fan, which is only 25 watt power, not 60 watt of power. A lot of things you can actually minimize it. So another 30% you can minimize it by using efficient appliances. So 30% is gone in avoiding, 30% is gone by minimizing, the remaining 30, 35%, 40% you can generate. So the generation of energy by whatever means, even if it is solar energy, has to be your last option. Has to be your last option. And if you do not follow this MG principle and keep doing, trying to find more science and more technology and more this and more that, there is no end to it. There is no end. I think when we have sent the mission to Mars, there is enough science already available. We can do many things. So follow the AMG rule. And if you follow the AMG rule, you can very easily convert into solar. And if you cannot follow the AMG, you are not going to follow AMG rule, you have to say, OMG, oh my God, solar is very expensive. Oh my God, I do not have rooftop space. Oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do that. So follow the AMG rule. And therefore, coming back, yes, we can do so many things, but the whole idea is not to do things. Do the less things, whatever is essential. And I very strongly feel कि कम में है दम, कम करने में है दम. You can't do more things, more science and more technology and say sustainable. That is not possible, because you will be violating the fundamental law that there's only enough for everybody's need, not for the greed.
That's a very powerful message.
I have a question, Dr. Solanki.
Mm-hmm.
You have given us jitters. During our lifetime itself, we'll be falling short of energy. I'm a solar professional, Bangalore, 20 years in this field, 30 years. So since you are in the mission of traveling, and I request you to make one uniform policy for every state to have to include solar. In the sense, suppose industry in Madhya Pradesh, even if his requirement is 4 megawatts, because of the rule he can take only 1 megawatt. Something like that, which can be uniform, can be made.
So, madam, as I told you, that the approach that I believe that it has to be reversed. Let us not tell the government what is required. Let us start doing things what is required. Very true. And it has to come from us, because I know very well, I worked very closely with the government. They cannot change quickly. The policies cannot be made quickly. The policies cannot be implemented quickly. Let we become the change. Mahatma Gandhi said, right? Be the change that you want to see. Be the change first. Charity begins from home. There are so many ways people have said कि अपने से चालू करना है. Let us start from ourselves. And then we can, then I guarantee you that whatever you said will happen. The policies will change automatically. Automatically it will happen. The government of Madhya Pradesh has been asking me many times. They ask, what do you want from us? What do you want from us? I said, nothing. I do not want anything. Just, just be there and say, and kind of help in spreading. That's it. Because I can tell you by all kind of maths that it is not, government's effort will never be enough to avoid the catastrophic change that is going to happen right in front of our house. It can only happen when billions and billions of people do it, not for sake of somebody else and for the nation. Forget it. You be selfish At least do it for your own children. If you're loving children, make sure that you give your children a clean air, a clean water, a clean education, a smooth a society, loving society. Give that. Nothing else. Don't do any service to people. Only for your own children and grandchildren and their children do that. Otherwise, they are going to suffer because there'll be more droughts, there'll be more floods, there'll be more violence, there'll be more heat waves, there'll be more, disease that will be spread, everything. So only for that sake you do it. Don't do it for the government. Do not ask government to do it. Government will come and follow us. I guarantee you.
I agree. Can I invite Rotarian Kashi Prabhu from Lakeside? He has a question.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, sir, very nice presentation and very informative and very a lot of insight there. I was just really curious to say that, we know that temperature is increasing we have seen that, but when you specifically mention irreversible, right? How do you take that as every time we know that every year there is some we feel, right? Temperature was 1 degree, 2 degree like that. But when you stress that irreversible, I just want to get some insight on that. What does really it mean? It means we are completely gone, or what does it mean?
You're almost correct. You're completely gone. Irreversible means that once we cross a threshold, let's say 2 degrees centigrade, and the whole world becomes sand. We stopped using carbon in every form on the same day. Irreversible means we will never be able to reduce the temperature of the planet once again. We will not do that. We will not come back to the same climate. That is what it means, irreversible. Once you cross that line, you cannot come. It's like a Lakshman Rekha. Once you're gone, you're gone. That is what is the danger of it. So even if you wake up from this reality, once the line is crossed, your waking up is not going to help anyone. You have to wake up right now when we still have opportunity to do it. That is what it means to become irreversible.
And how is this Paris Agreement now? Is it been relooked again? Because Paris Agreement was 2030, something like that.
Paris Agreement is some countries, America got out of it, and it has created a bad example. Many people are doing it. Our government is doing wonderfully well in terms of meeting the targets that are given. Many countries will definitely fail. Many countries do it on paper, but not in reality. So what I'm saying is, forget about the governments. That path is never going to work. अभी एक घर में 4 लोगों को समझा नहीं सकते तो पूरे वर्ल्ड में एक सभी को समझाना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है ना. And therefore, but people can understand. You can take decision on your own, right? You can decide for your house that I will be a part of solution, not the pollution. We be a part of solution, not the pollution. We become the proud honor of solar energy house. We surrender electricity connection. हमको चाहिए ही नहीं. That is the contribution, smallest contribution you can make. Do not take any electricity from the grid. Government किससे खरीदेगा? कोई नहीं करेगा. Produce करना बंद कर देगा. अभी बोलेंगे government को कि मत करो ये मत करो. They will not listen because the vote banks and a lot of other things are in. There's a very complicated affair that happens. But if it is about the movement, it is all about individuals. And without movement, I feel, and I think it is written on the wall on the stone, without a public movement, this saving of the human life on the planet or the existence of human life on the planet will not be possible.
So what are the basic,
Let me ask the next question. Rotarian Shamla from RBNW. What about enhancing CO2 in water bodies?
Manoj, could you give me a time, please?
Yeah.
Venkatesh.
So, what I'm saying is, yes, so we can definitely do, there's a lot of technology which talks about carbon capture, how we can do the carbon capture and put it underground and all kind of things, right? Yes, those are possible, but first of all, they are not within the site when it is going to happen. When it will happen, whether it will be effective, cost effective or not. Because it's like a time bomb. Anything you put it under the earth, sometime it is going to come out, and it's a kind of a time bomb. So I believe all those solutions are really solutions which we should not pursue. We should not, make a problem in the fundamental law of the nature that there is only enough on the earth for everybody's need. That's a fundamental. Let us start understanding and living with that law. Let us not become the parrots, We are all parrots. Parrots ko sikhate hain, bolo hey Ram. Parrots will keep talking about hey Ram, right? Without understanding what does it mean. We all talk about sustainability, but we are never shifting our life in a sustainable manner. That is the problem that we need to do. So do not become parrot, understand and start living like that. That is what is required.
Yeah, Rotary Venkatesh, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Good evening, doctor. Compliments to you. Sincere compliments at the kind of a sacrifice you are doing by traveling around and also by bus and all that. I'm only trying to say this kind of, you seem to be very emotionally attached to the subject and this kind of an emotion, I think all of us, I'm only sharing. I don't have a question except to share what I want to share with all my fellow Rotarians, that this kind of emotion needs to be replicated right now. And relatively, we are old, if I may say, there are a lot of youngsters, you apologize them, but relatively. So luckily, our days are almost gone. The kind of a fear you have put us in, all of us, the very subject itself, we also read a lot on this. The very subject has put enough fear in us that make us guilty. And I'm sure this kind of a guilt will make us more responsible. And the last point I would like to add for all our thing is that we need to sort of start from the schools. The children from the age of 15, I think we must start, because they will, first of all, will know the seriousness of it. They are going to start. We need to live a real green world, if possible, with a world to them. So we need to tell them so that they can take it, because it is going to affect them more. When it affects them more, naturally they'll work more. So I think we volunteers, I'm saying, should take this message to the school. Very good presentation. We have been sort of reading, as I said, but nothing like, hearing from the person who is doing it with great interest and involvement. God bless.
Yeah, indeed, Rotary Venkatesh, I think you said the right point, and this is the reason on behalf of Vocational Service Committee, we have taken the lead in connecting with Dr. Solanki and organizing this program. Request you to engage more and more volunteers as much as possible. That brings us to the next question from Vibha, Rotary Vibha from RBNW. What are the practices can we as volunteers start adopting from today, apart from spreading the message?
Sir, could I just request you that you picked up my question, but we didn't give opportunity for Dr. Solanki to speak about. That is, if he's spotting at the carbon dioxide that's enhanced in the atmosphere, and what about the carbon dioxide that's enhanced in the water bodies, and it's talking about ocean acidification. So we could club these two aspects and then project it, because we are just able to visualize, as you said, and the wonderful presentation about what's going on in the atmosphere. But what about the water bodies, and where we are losing so many resources because increased acidification due to enhanced carbon dioxide content?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, so the problem that we are creating is so multidimensional that it is very difficult to even capture in a one short interaction. So the global warming is one such impact, but you're rightly saying the acidification is resulting in another problem. The many species are going to get extinct. The sea level temperature is going to rise, which is again resulting in a more extreme events in the country. And I mean, recently, like just 3 weeks back, there was a floods in Hyderabad, and some 17, 18 people died in unseasonal floods, rains. Can you imagine? I mean, this is what is going to happen. So it's a very, very, very big problem. It's a very complex problem.
But I hardly hear people talking about that, Dr. Solanki. I hardly hear people, like maybe at the level of the scientists and the people who are doing research work, but a commoner like me or anyone else is hardly, I'm a teacher by profession, so I'm well aware of what's happening. And as somebody quoted, it should be tracked at the ground level with students. So I'm aware of what is ocean acidification. But when will this reach a commoner? When will this reach? It's so ghastly to see what's happening with our planet. Thank
yes,
you,
I mean, it's terrifying. You know, as I said, anybody who understands what is happening should not be able to sleep.
Yes.
Literally, should not be able to sleep if you really understand what is happening.
Exactly.
And therefore, I think the Rotarians and this club that Manojji has been organizing and really pushing, it's very important. I really believe that at personal level, each one of us has to start and become the torch bearer. I mean, the very same reason that I have taken 11 years long yatra, that it is not going to be solved in one lecture. It is not going to happen, and therefore there'll be following lecture and this, and we need to bring this to 50,000 people. Let people take pledge. Let us take action. Dalai Lama mentioned that prayers are not going to be enough. Meditation is not going to be enough. Action is required, and the yatra is all about action. All of us should be the first action. We take action, and then let people, encourage people to take action. Then only it can multiply. Let us not wait for the policy to change. Let us not wait our politicians to change. That is not going to happen. But let us change and start in the right direction, so that there is a whatever small chance that is there to save it, we should do that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Would you like to throw some light on one of the other question from Vibha, Rotary and Vibha? What are the practices can we as volunteers start adopting from today, apart from spreading the message?
Okay, so we will discuss in the next lecture, but the best practice is just start thinking and become aware that what are the places where we use energy, where it can be avoided. Just become sensitive to that. Take a moment, pause of 1 second, and see if it is required or not required. You'll be surprised to know that many things are not required. As I said, one of the most shocking thing all of you must be doing today, it's a winter time and everywhere the refrigerators are on. Why do we need a refrigerator in the winter? And I've been asking in my travel so far, that is your refrigerator on? Answer is yes. Isn't it shocking and criminal that in the winter time, the whole purpose of the refrigerator keep things cool? It's already cool in the atmosphere. Why do you need to continuously switch on the refrigerator? Become aware about that. Become aware about that. Make your friends and family members aware about this fact. Let us, last year I ran a campaign, is winter fridge band kar. Let us do that. I think that is the great beginning if you can start doing that, and you'll suddenly surprise yourself that how much you can save. And कम में है दम, ज़्यादा करने से नहीं, ज़्यादा साइंस से कम करो तो काम चलेगा. All right. So Manojji, I think we should close the session. I have to carry on. Manojji, you're muted. Unmute yourself. All right. So I believe that all my students of this session and the following session will be the nice students. And as a nice student, you will do the homework. The homework that I've given is read and read and read about the climate change. Become aware about the facts. I'm going to share you some facts. But by the time the next session happens, you should be able to talk as convincingly as I done today, so that you can communicate to others that how serious it is. All right. So just do the homework, read videos, read the text, the documents, watch some videos about the climate change document to become aware about all these numbers. 5-6 numbers is good enough that you need to remember. And then next time, I will tell you what are the pledges we can take and you can others can take. By the way, the rule was that only those people who attended today can attend the next session, Manojji. Second thing is, each one of you are going to create 10 more volunteers, so you become a team of 10 people, right?
Sure.
So these are the two things, do it. And soon I'll announce the date for the, very soon we'll do it, maybe within a week or 10 days.
Yeah, and Doctor, you are all in the group. I mean, we are all in the group. Of course, you are also in the same group, Keep Up Yojana, which has now 180 people, right? So that message which I want to give you, that please utilize this group. I think you have really energized all of us, but we can do the same thing through the group also, communicate all the messages. I think the charisma that you carry with you is immense. And for all of us to get that charisma, I think it will take some time. But definitely we'll try our best and try to continue spreading the message that you said. The best thing which you talked about is AMG. I think AMG can help us to avoid reaching OMG. I think that's a very, very powerful message. Let's try to, maybe few of the Rotarians who are here, if you can design some posters, or maybe ask the interactors and Rotractors to make some small posters. I think that would be handwritten posters, handmade drawings or posters can really do the magic, because it's all a question. I mean, only because Dr. Solanki did not agree to start the training last time when we were only 55 people, I think that made us all push to reach a number of 108 or whatever we were today at the start of the session, right? So I think we really appreciate the passion that you have, Dr. Solanki, and the way you push us. We are trying our best through the entire district of 3190. Our DG, Mr. Nagendra Prasad, Rotary Nagendra Prasad himself is supporting, and we have excellent support from our Vocational Service Director, Dr. Radhakrishna, Rotary and Raghu Alam, who is the chair of Rotary Action Group. So all of us, we are really energized to save energy, if I may say so. So once again, thank you to all the partner clubs.
Job of the professor to push the student. So that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. So thank you so much.
Well done, Manoj. Very well done, Manoj.
Thank you. Thanks for all your support.
We'll be there all.
Everyone,
do involve us.
Yeah.
Do involve us.
Let us continue to have the same kind of energy and the same kind of momentum for the next sessions as well. And we will soon announce the Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki will soon connect with you, take the next session date from you, and then announce it on the group.
Make sure that the students keep doing the homework that is given, right?
Absolutely.
Professors do not like the student who do not do the homework.
I'm very worried that you may ask me very uncomfortable question the next session.
I think uncomfort is the start of progress. That's what I have learned today.
Yeah.
Yes.
He'll be asking full form of OMG.
Yes.
Okay.
Keep smiling. That's the important message. And thank you very much, everyone.
Very true.
Stay safe.
True.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye, Manoj ji. Bye.
Bye. Nice to see our President Sumati there.